Welcome to another episode of Star Wars Talk. I'm John Barry, and today I'm reviewing Star Wars Dark Disciple by Christie Golden. So this book came out, probably a good couple years ago. I'm checking to see if it has a date on it, and I do not see a date, but it came out, I would say, a couple of years ago. And it covers the story of Quinlan Voss and Asajj Ventress teaming up to assassinate Count Dooku, and all that happens in the book. And I listened to this book as an audiobook, so it's kind of interesting to hear another take on the voice for Asajj Ventress, as I am primarily used to the voice from Star Wars The Clone Wars. But that is outside of the scope of this review. This review is supposed to be focusing on the book. But before I continue, if you find yourself enjoying this review at any time, please leave a like. Also, to stay up to date on all my non-YouTube stuff, consider following me on Twitter or Facebook. You can also check out my website. Links are in the description. My question for you today is, what did you think of Star Wars Dark Disciple by Christie Golden? Let me know in the comments down below. Now back to my review. So this video essentially, I meant this book is essentially, as I said, tells the story of Asajj Ventress, but primarily Quinlan Voss being ordered by the Jedi Council to team up with Asajj Ventress to assassinate Count Dooku, and what happens. And what happens is Quinlan falls to the dark side. Asajj Ventress wants to encourage him to use the dark side, but now to succumb to the dark side in order for him to actually have a chance to assassinate Count Dooku, and in the process they fall in love, and Quinlan Voss gets captured by Count Dooku, and Count Dooku tortures Quinlan Voss into falling to the dark side for real and giving into it, and then he essentially, he still has that, and when the Jedi go to rescue him as Asajj Ventress, Ventress still senses the dark side in Voss. The Jedi don't. But eventually she doesn't sense it anymore. And what we find out is not only was Quinlan Voss was lying about falling to the dark side, saying he had it not only to the Jedi, not only to Asajj Ventress, but also to himself, which is kind of interesting. If you lie about falling to the dark side to yourself, you can effectively hide that from anyone, even somebody you're deeply emotionally connected with. And this book shows his attachment to Ventress kind of got him into his problem with the dark side. It's also what really helped get him out. It helped and he still got in trouble for it, of course, but it was what really brought him out of the dark side and redeemed him. We saw that with Darth Vader too. Vader wasn't that close to Luke, but essentially his desire to have family, people to be close to, and when he realized that the dark side was causing problems for that person, is what pulled Vader out, and it's also what pulled Voss out, realizing that the dark side is not helping the people you care about. It's in fact causing them harm. And also the Voss, even though he fell to the dark side, I don't think he was necessarily loyal to the Sith. I think maybe loyal, pretending to be loyal, but he claimed that he was also trying to get at Sidious, which if he got at Sidious and managed to do so, imagine what would have happened there, really. If not only had Quinlan Voss gotten close enough to Dooku, that way he met Sidious in person, but was able to kill Sidious and Dooku, imagine what would have happened. And then granted, probably would not have helped a lot in the long run. The Jedi would have to deal with the repercussions of one of their own falling to the dark side, but they could claim, they could say, looking back, it was not good to put him on that mission, which they do come to recognize, but they still keep on making stupid decisions, talking about assigning Anakin to spy on the Chancellor, or should I say Sidious, even though they didn't know it. Yeah, the Jedi really don't always make good decisions when you think about it. But really, if Quinlan Voss, as I said, had killed Dooku and had gotten at Sidious and killed Sidious as well, the Jedi could have effectively then made the argument that this is what wars do to peacekeepers. They turn them away from peacekeeping, and they could use that as precedent to say, we'll keep the peace, we'll protect the innocent, but we'll never serve as generals in a war again. They could have, in this what if, they could have spun it to their scenario, and this is something that the book brought up. But really, the crux, the main story of this book, this novel, is the story between Asajj and Quinlan, and Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Voss. That is the true heart of the story. And it is an emotional story, to say the least, falling to the dark side, falling in love with essentially someone who at one time was one of the Jedi's worst enemies. It's quite an interesting story to tell, to say the least. Parts of it I did feel a little bit uncomfortable at times, as it got a bit too personal, you can say. But I just moved on and went on to the next part of the story. But so yeah, I would say if you're this is probably the darkest story in the current canon for this in all the books. It is probably the darkest story, and maybe also one of the most mature. And it's still fairly, I wouldn't say family friendly, but if you have yet to gone through puberty, I would say maybe wait till you go through puberty before you read or listen to this book. Because it deals with some heavy themes of just moral natures too. Is it right for a military to assassinate the political and military leader of your opponent? Is it right for peacekeepers to take up the mantle of generals and then order assassination? There's really some very heavy-hitting morals, and really, you need to be sufficiently matured in order to understand what this book is talking about. But it deals with some of the more heavy-hitting themes. A lot of books do deal with heavy-hitting themes as well. A Furnace Squad did deal with some pretty heavy-hitting themes that happen when you go undercover, especially in a group that the audience is naturally going to root for, but you have to root against them because the protagonist is part of the traditional antagonist of the franchise. They're a bit mature there, and then of course Phasma deals with some heavy-hitting themes, but really, Dark Disciple has some of the most heavy-hitting themes of any Star Wars novel in canon, and really, if you're not you need to have matured sufficiently, I think, in order to understand the themes. And I'm not just talking about the romantic themes either. That part would just go over your head if you're too young. But all the other themes, it will go over your head or just confuse you. So, as I said, this is probably one of the most heavy Star Wars books, and probably one of the most dark, to be honest. And that doesn't make sense. It does have dark in its title. But before I continue with my review, this video is helped made possible by my patrons on Patreon. Patreon is a platform that allows fans to directly support their favorite creators. By supporting me on Patreon for as low as $1 a month, not only are you supporting me and allowing me to create new and better content, but you will also get access to my scripts, my bloopers, and any other content I decide to cut from my channel. Now back to my review. There's not too much more I want to say about this book, but if you are sufficiently matured, so by that I mean you're at least high school, if you read the Harry Potter books, you're fine reading this. In honesty, if you read the X-Wing novels from Legends, you're probably fine reading this too. I'm trying to think of one or two other good books, but those are the top two that deal with some heavy-hitting themes. So yeah, and if you've read the entire Bible, you'll be fine reading this as well. So I'm just for heavy-hitting themes, yeah. that's really it for the books, but really, if you've read the Harry Potter books, you'll be fine reading this, because I think at times the Harry Potter books get a bit darker thematically, especially with the Deathly Hallows. Death is a pretty dark theme, let's be real. But this is about Star Wars, not Harry Potter. So I should have had a Harry Potter video out Wednesday. If I didn't, then I apologize. But should have been talking about the Crimes of Grindelwald and how I have not seen it yet as of the recording of this video. So I could have seen it by the time this video comes out. You never know, and you'll find out because I'll post on Twitter or tweet about it that I went and saw it. So follow me on Twitter so you can see when I actually go and see that. But this video is about Star Wars Dark Disciple by Christie Golden. So let's stop talking about Harry Potter. But yeah, it does deal with some good themes. Really, it is an interesting story that you should give a chance. And as I said I wouldn't talk about Harry Potter, but just to reiterate, if you read all the Harry Potter books, the theming should not be too difficult in here or too dark. Because I know some people just don't like dark theming, and even myself, I can turn away from dark themes at times, but if you've been exposed to it before, no problem. But it really is a good story. I can't reiterate that enough. And I also want to say, I used to rate them, and for the past couple books, I don't believe I've actually given a rating. But I'm changing my rating system to would I recommend to read, would I not, or I don't care. Kind of a more 3 points, that a yes, no, and maybe. So I would say yes, I recommend this book to read if you have not done so already. And if you want to reread it, go ahead. I don't see why not. Well, that concludes my review of Star Wars Dark Disciple by Christie Golden. So thank you for watching this latest video. New videos of mine come out every week, so consider subscribing and turning notifications on to be notified of when I release new content. Feel free to check out the video or playlist on screen now. Lastly, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you always.